Hey guys, and welcome to the Fish Room. I'm Rachel O'Leary and it's time for a species spotlight, and I have one that I'm really excited to share with you guys. If you guys remember correctly, a couple weeks ago I went to visit my friend Chris Layton up in Mount Kisco, New York, and he is a well-known Hypancistrus breeder. And while I was there, I had the great opportunity to get a bunch of footage and images of one of the rarest Pleco species in our hobby, and that's the L173 Hypancistrus Pleco. Now, it is a zebra type. It is one of the black and white Hypancistrus. What's interesting is very few of these fish have been exported and introduced as wild fish into the United States, and my buddy Chris has multiple tanks of them. He's got a tank of wild adults, a tank of intermediate or young 2-inch fish that are F1s. F1 is filial group 1, which means they're the first generation bred and raised in an aquarium. And then he has tanks of offspring. So I had the really unique opportunity to be able to show you guys the truth about these fish and how their pattern changes as they grow, and give you some of the tips that Chris told me about breeding these fascinating, beautiful, exceptionally rare fish. So let's take a look. I am sure most of you have heard of the zebra plecos that come out of Brazil, specifically from the Rio Xingu. They are one of the most popular and prized species in our hobby. In this video, we're going to talk about L173, which are even more rare. But first, a little history. We first started seeing Hypancistrus being introduced into the hobby in the 1980s. There was a real difficulty getting them in at that time because the collectors used to lie about where they were finding them in order to sort of protect themselves and maintain the ability of having that unique collection. What makes them so rare is that IBAMA, Brazil's conservation authority, does not have them on the approved list for export, so they're almost impossible to get as wild species, at least legally. The vast majority of the Hypancistrus you see in the hobby are being bred by hobbyists. There's also the conflict of the Belamonte Dam project, which is being put in, which is going to destroy the entire habitat of a lot of the Hypancistrus species. Now, this species is usually found between the Altamira and Porto de Mas sections of the river in water from 6 feet to 100 feet deep. The water is extremely soft, very warm, and has lots of rock structures. There are extreme currents in the Rio Xingu, which limit the range of the various species. There are rapids, waterfalls, and sandbars that create really unique microcosms where the plecos live. L173 is extremely highly sought after. Here we see the adult color phase. They have brown eyes and off-white base color and are slightly larger than the typical zebra pleco. They also have that, at adulthood, have that really typical, really neat worm-like pattern. They can be a little bit inconsistent, but they're absolutely gorgeous. Look at this guy. There's almost like a blue sheen to his dorsal in person. Under 2 inches, it's really interesting. Most of the Hypancistrus look extremely similar, so cannot really be identified by pattern. In fact, these are L173 in the intermediate phase, which means around 2 inches. Their pattern gets denser and more impressive with age and develops that worm-like appearance. You can see these guys here, to the untrained eye, look very similar to an L46 and very different from their adult counterparts. Now, these are F1 fish, so these are tank-raised L173, different than the ones I just showed you, who are wild collected adults. But they're still absolutely gorgeous. I find it sort of fascinating to watch this pattern develop and change as they grow, because it is really a very significant change. Now, these guys establish a firm pecking order, so it's important to have a cave or hide for each fish to prevent fighting. If you keep them in pairs, they will spawn faster than if you keep them in harems. These are the juvenile color phase, and again, you can see they look extremely different from both the intermediate and the adult phase. Really cute. As I mentioned, these are a warm water species. They like a high oxygen level and should be kept around 84 degrees. You need to feed them a very meaty diet of frozen or live worms, or rapashi spawn and grow, with occasional treats of spirulina or some sort of vegetable matter. Well, I don't have any of these amazing fish in my possession or to sell. What I do have is a variant of them. I have L173Bs. Now these guys are a bit controversial, and that's for a few reasons. L173Bs were labeled as such by Aquarium Glosser, which is a very well-known, very reputable company in Germany that specializes in rare and unusual fish. And what they did is they have breeders who breed their fish, and one of their breeders reported that they were getting a couple fish from spawns that had atypical color patterns. And so Aquarium Glosser listed these as 173Bs. Now, my friend Chris bought a group of 173Bs from an import from Aquarium Glosser from another friend of ours, also named Chris. I happen to be in on that order and know that the fish are legitimate and came from Aquarium Glosser. It's been several years now, and it's been really exciting to hear the success that my friend has had raising and breeding these fish. Now, I'll maybe do a video specifically on 173B in the future, but make sure you hit that notification bell, because I do have a video coming out next week that'll tell you how to set up a Hypancistrus tank, and then a future video that will tell you better how to feed them, as well as other general care. I'm also going to have a bunch of different Ancistrus videos. This whole month is going to be sort of Pleco-centric or catfish-centric. I hope you guys are as excited as I am. Little known fact, I've been a horrendous catfish hoarder for years and years and years. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Thanks again, as always, for your continued support. Make sure you follow me on Instagram and Facebook, and make sure you stop by my website, MsJinx.com, where you can find my upcoming speaking engagements, my current stock list, and information on all things nano.